In the heart of the night, this world will burn bright. We will set it alight. In the heart of the night, in the heart of the night, this world will burn bright. We will set it alight. In the heart of the night.
Hello everyone, I am Anthropomantic Fiend, and I do horror-related things on the internet. Today I'm going to be talking about Kill Baby Kill. This is a movie from 1966, and it's directed by Mario Bava. Before I say anything else, thank you to everyone who came to my little test live stream last night. That was really fun, and it's funny because I was talking about last night how I really haven't seen much, if any, Mario Bava, and I really need to, so coincidentally I had a Mario Bava movie scheduled for review, and I didn't know it was a Bava movie until I turned it on, so this might be my first taste of Mario Bava. I want to get into Black Sabbath and Black Sunday because I love Karloff and Barbara Steele and gothic horror, and that looks like it'll be my kind of stuff, exactly, but this is my first taste of Mario Bava, so here are my thoughts. The soundtrack to this movie is really cool. It's got sort of traditional horror elements, traditional melodramatic horror music, but there's also creepy music boxy childlike elements, which makes sense. There's a particular, main theme that reoccurs for the creepy child in this movie, which I really like, and sort of a jazzy bass element under that, which really adds to this interesting atmosphere. And as soon as I'm saying this, I'm realizing that I forgot to tell you what the movie's even about. So, this is about this man. He's a coroner who goes to this little creepy village with a castle up on the hill, or a mansion of some kind. There have been all kinds of mysterious deaths, most of them impalements, and there's not really any kind of logical explanation for why they're happening, but it seems that some kind of mysterious force coming from the Villa de Graps, which is the castle/mansion, has been killing off these people, and there are hints of this creepy child lurking around, and there's witchcraft and strangeness and a murder mystery of a sort. He just tries to figure out what the hell's going on so he can put a stop to the deaths. So, as I said, the music is really good. One thing it is not, though, is subtle. In these moments that should be sort of very delicate and creepy, the music will just be blaring in your face, super melodramatic, and it's great, but it really overpowers the movie in places where it should have just sort of held back and stayed sort of light and creepy. And as much as I love that main theme, I think they do it to death. They play it so many times, it's not even really like a new rendition of it. It's just the same thing over and over and over again, and I wish they'd mixed it up more, but it's still really good music. This wouldn't have been the case with the original version of the movie, but the dubbing. It's an Italian film, and we got some bad dubbing right here. The voices don't sound real, the dialogue sounds stilted, and it's very silly, but I don't mind that. I enjoy some bad dubbing. It's not good, but it's fun. Visually speaking, it has this very sort of low-budget, surreal, gothic look to it. It's a very, very pretty movie. The costumes and the sets and the cinematography is all gorgeous. I wrote down some specific examples of sets I really like, but everything in this movie is just gorgeous. There's a foggy cemetery, this witchy character's house that is really cool, and yeah, there's the Villa de Graps. The interior of that is beautiful. All the sets in this movie, you know they're fake, but you don't care because they're just so pretty. And the cinematography gets pretty surreal and cool in a lot of places. There's a fun, creepy POV shot in the cemetery that you don't know is a POV shot at first. You just hear sort of the creepy child theme, and the camera's just going back and forth, and you're like, why is this happening? And then you realize it's a swing set, and you hear this little girl laughing, and it's a really cool shot. And then there's another shot that we see several times of this spiral staircase from above as characters are running up and down it, and it's just really cool looking. This is a very cool looking movie, and that's probably its biggest strength. Story-wise, it's interesting. We've got an opening scene with this woman running from something, we don't know what, and screaming, and then she falls on a spike and impales herself. The deaths, and this one in particular, it's just very cheesy. The screaming and the fear in this movie is always very melodramatic and not to be taken seriously. But it gives you a good taste of what's to come, because you don't quite know what's going on. And then after she falls, you just see the footsteps of this little girl. You just see her feet. You see her feet walking down the stairs, and that really cool main theme starts playing. And yeah, there are elements in there that are very much of the classic gothic horror tradition that are really fun. Like, you've got a scene right when our main character arrives with villagers in this pub just staring awkwardly at him as he walks in. It's one of those uncomfortable, every pub and every Hammer horror movie ever, American Werewolf in London type deals where a new person walks into the village and everybody just sort of looks at him with blank faces, just staring. And it's a must for these movies, and it's really funny to me. And there's a lot of elements of like science versus superstition in this, because all of the villagers are fully convinced that some kind of force, some evil supernatural force, which we don't know what it is yet, but we find out is what is killing all of the people in this village. They're also very much about tradition and what is according to nature, which means not performing an autopsy of this woman who got impaled, which is why the guy is here, to the point that the townsfolk, try to kill him because he's trying to perform an autopsy, and they try to bury her first, and yeah, they freaking hate messing with the body, and they're not about science. They're all about supernatural explanations for everything. So that's a big factor of the movie, because the more supernatural things get, the guy is still completely in denial, and it's just like, no, there has to be a rational explanation for everything, I'm sure. And then there's just weird stuff, because when he performs the autopsy on the woman, he finds a coin in her heart, which, what? I don't understand. We find out why it's there eventually, but it's still just a weird choice, because apparently there's like a superstition of finding money in the heart for one who has suffered a violent death. It's just very strange and surreal. They're very much into superstition, and this goes for cures for sickness or trying to break curses. It's pretty messed up. One of the cures is one that this witch woman who we meet later provides, where she just takes out these thorny plants and starts whipping the bare back of this woman and trying to tell the evil and death to depart. It seems kind of doing more harm than good to the guy, but yeah, I'm not sure if it even works or not. It's just kind of there. And then later, we see this girl just sort of moaning in agony in her bed, and she's broken out in this horrible fever, and the guy, our main character, comes in and pulls back the sheets, and there's barbed wire. I'm not sure if it's barbed wire, but it's something like barbed wire wrapped around her. And he's just the hell is wrong with you? And it's just this is the cure. And he's that wrapping barbed wire is going to make her bleed out. And that's what they're trying to prevent, because everybody's bled to death. So yeah, their cures are messed up, but science doesn't seem to be helping either. So everything's just kind of messed up. Got our main character, who's the coroner who's arrived, who's the rational scientist man, and there's not really a lot to him. He's just an average nice guy. And most of the characters don't have a lot to them. I mentioned a witch woman who appears several times. She's a pretty big part of the movie. She sort of appears looking very much like Barbara Steele and Vampira, and just this mysterious, dark, somewhat seductive character. But she's not an evil, vampire-y, witchy thing. She's the benevolent town witch who is trying to help people and break the curse, and I really liked her character a lot, even if her cures are horrible and I do not recommend them for anything. The creepy child, who we find out is named Melissa, her presence just kind of looms over the film, but we don't see a lot of her. She's just kind of a little girl who is there. The idea of Melissa is cool, but it's really just more the idea of her. She's not actually in the movie that much, so I can't really say much about her performance. And all the other characters are just kind of there as well. This movie really thrives on the atmospheric visuals and just the weirdness of its plot. There's not really any great acting in this movie. The soundtrack's beautiful, if overpowering. To compare it to later Italian horror, if you're a Dario Argento fan, I think you will really like this movie, because like movies like Suspiria and Phenomena, I don't think it's quite as good as those movies, but it thrives on these beautiful gothic visuals and this atmosphere and just the weirdness of its plot. So if you enjoy just soaking in the atmosphere of the movie without being concerned with like actual quality of storytelling or acting, I think you'll have a good time with this movie. But if you're trying really hard to just follow the plot and judge the acting and everything, this is not that kind of movie. This is an atmospheric, just sort of vibe piece. It's not really a really like solid story type movie. I think it's a good film. It's kind of cheesy, but it's enjoyable, and I'd come to it the same reason I'd come to an Argento movie. So that is my spoiler-free review section for my review of Kill Baby Kill. Here are the spoilers. So eventually we find out that Melissa is the ghost of this girl who died years and years ago, and she has been sort of lurking and looming over the town and creating these strange disturbances and forcing people to kill themselves, usually by impalement or slitting their throats. Basically all the town knows this already, but dude, main character, just refuses to accept that because reasons. That sort of idea of this vengeful little girl ghost was cool, but I was like, what's the motivation? Why is she killing all these people? But eventually we find out from the unhinged Baroness de Graps that Melissa like bled to death of impalement on something or other, and the town just sort of stood there and did nothing. So there's reason for it. Then everything just kind of goes completely haywire, and they just dump all this info on you, and you have no idea what's happening anymore. Because Monica, who's this character who we've met earlier, we find out that apparently she's Melissa's sister, but Melissa wants to kill her, and the Baroness de Graps is like a medium for Melissa and is controlling her, but Melissa's also kind of controlling her, and they just kind of dump it all of it on you in that one moment, and you just have no idea what the hell's going on. And then my favorite moment in the movie, which is where everything just completely falls apart, is when Monica has suddenly disappeared and we just hear her screaming down the hallway, and we know that Melissa has taken her and is gonna kill her. Our main character runs after her. He runs through this door and he appears in a very similar looking room, and hears screaming again. He runs through the door and appears in a room, and after a while I was like, this is the same room again, isn't it? And after a while he just keeps running through the door, and it just shows him running through again and again and again, and it's just like, yeah, he's just running through the same door over and over, and after a while it just shows it looping, him running through this door, and we start seeing doubles of him as he like comes up behind him as he loops through the door, and he actually grabs this other person on the shoulder and spins it around, and it's a double of him. And at that point it's just like, what the hell is happening? And then that just spirals into this weird dream sequence of him caught in a spider web, and I don't even know anymore, but I love it. And then eventually the witch lady comes back and strangles the Baroness de Graps to death, and then suddenly has a knife in her heart, and she's like, I fulfilled my purpose, I can die now. And she literally just makes this noise as she dies that is hysterically funny to me. I'm sure they dubbed it in, but the question is, why? Again, very bad dubbing on this movie. This movie just falls apart in the weirdest way at the end, but I love it. and like everybody dies except our main character and Monica, and they just kind of run away and live happily ever after. So it's something of a train wreck, but I don't really care. Again, it's a train wreck in the way the plot of a Dario Argento movie is a train wreck. It just goes completely weird, and it's kind of dreamlike, and you don't even know what's going on, but you don't care because it's pretty. If that is your kind of movie, I highly recommend Kill Baby Kill. Thank you for watching my video, and hopefully I'll see you in another one. Bye!